Good morning, everyone, and very warm welcome to today's webinar on skills and capacity. My name is Fabian, and I am the project lead for MyRep. I'm from Hamburg Music, and it's always great to see participants joining us from so many regions and different organizations coming from the music or creative ecosystem. This is our third webinar already. And we still see new people. So this is very, very exciting for us. And in today's session, we will explore how skills and capacity can be used in the music sector and, of course, in other sectors as well to support more resilient structures. So by the end of the session, you will have gained insights into concrete examples of how these tools that we have created are used in different regions, and also a short peek into how these approaches can be transferred or adapted to your own local context. So this webinar is part of MyRep, the Music Industry Resilience Acceleration Program. And MyRep is a transnational project funded by Interreg Baltic Sea region, looking at how innovation and collaboration can strengthen the music ecosystem. Now, let's have a quick look at how we will spend the next 75 minutes. We will start with a brief introduction of MyRep. After that, we will have an input from Katarzyna Figert, setting a more broader perspective on the importance of skills and capacity in today's world. Then we will move into the core of today's session, a set of practical tools that enhance the skills of people working in the music industry, presented by different project partners of MyRep. We will close then with next steps and leave time for questions and discussions. So I would now like to briefly introduce MyRep and explain how today's session connects to the project. So what is MyRep? MyRep is basically a consortium, a project partnership of 9 different partners. As I said, Hamburg Music is part of this. We are the project lead. Then we have the Leuphana University from Lüneburg. We have the Musikkontor Möst from Oslo, Gothenburg and Co. We have the Regional Council of Ostrobotnia from Finland, Music Estonia. We have Music Latvia, the Lithuanian Academy of Music and Theatre, and better to say the Music Innovation Studies Center in Vilnius, and the Municipal Center for Culture in Bydgoszcz. And all of us sat together in one room almost 2.5 years ago. And we are, as you could figure out, people from different countries and, of course, different music ecosystems in the Baltic Sea region. And even though our regions were different, we quickly noticed something. We were all facing the same challenges. So digital tools were changing how we work. Many organizations were struggling to find skilled people. And, of course, sustainability was becoming increasingly important. And we agreed on one key point early on. These challenges cannot be solved alone. They are shared challenges, and these shared challenges need shared responses. At the same time, we were very, very clear that the real change happens locally. As you might have figured out already, music ecosystems are different everywhere, and local actors know their own needs best. But we also know that working together across borders helps everyone move faster and learn more. And this is basically why MyRep exists. So we wanted to connect local actors, give them access to shared knowledge, tools, and networks, and support them in building stronger and more resilient music ecosystems. So instead of writing really long reports that nobody actually reads, we focused on very practical tools. So we developed a toolbox with tools on 3 different areas. First one, which is the topic of today's webinar, is skills and labor, skills and capacity. Second, sustainability, and innovation and networks. So these tools were created together as a group. So we sat together and thought about this. We figured out how we could best do it. And then we tested them in real music ecosystems. So in our partner cities, which are smaller cities, but also larger areas. And each partner used the tools to respond to local needs, while at the same time helping to improve them for others. And this way, we learn from each other, also across borders in the Baltic Sea region, again, referring to shared challenges and shared solutions. And we deeply believe in this peer learning process. So we shared what worked and what didn't work and what could be improved. And over time, this built a long-term cooperation between the partners, where we could combine the local experience with international exchange. And this is what this webinar series is all about. We want to share the tools, the learnings, and the experience, and show how they can be adapted to your local context. So what you see here is basically a graphic depiction how MyRep is structured. You see at the top the Music Industry Resilience Acceleration Program. MyRep is a very long word, so we always abbreviate it to MyRep as an umbrella. And you can think of this as a toolbox. And MyRep has, as a toolbox, has 3 different compartments. First, skills and capacity. Second, innovation. And third, sustainability. And in these compartments, you find different tools for different challenges. We have covered innovation and sustainability before, so we will, in today's session, focus on skills and capacity. We will do so, and we'll do so with the help of my colleagues from Hamburg Music Business, from Music Latvia, from the Municipal Center for Culture in Bydgoszcz, and the Lithuanian Academy of Music and Theatre. And we will present a selection of these tools developed and tested within MyRep. And to be clear, the focus here is very, very practical. We want to show you how these tools work, what problems they address, and what we have learned from applying them in our regional contexts. After that, we will wrap up with the next steps, because this is just the beginning of a potential journey for you with MyRep, and of course we have time for questions and discussions. But rather than starting with the project and the tool results itself, we want to begin with a more broader perspective. And to set the scene, I am very happy that we can open with an input that looks at the importance of and early impact of skills and capacity related programs. So we are delighted to welcome Katarzyna Figert for this input. Katarzyna is a sound designer for film, head of the sound engineering department and lecturer at the Felix Nowowiejski Academy of Music in Bydgoszcz, Poland. She's also the co-creator and lecturer of the newly established course Sound Engineering in Audiovisual Forms at the National Film School in Łódź, and works also as a sound engineer, illustrator, and music consultant on feature films. So Katarzyna has a very extensive knowledge of both the practical and the academic world, and we are very happy to have her here. So Kasia, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Fabian, for the introduction. I should maybe add that apart from working at the Academy, I also have quite nice experience in working with live sound. So my insight may be broader, even broader than it comes from the description. So the next slide, please. In general, the first question that we should ask is, or the first problem we have to face in Poland, and according to my colleagues' expertise, not only in Poland, but in general in Europe, in Baltic Sea region, is a significant shortage of well-trained staff in the field of live production, sound, lighting, but also also multimedia. At the moment, this problem mainly concerns, let's call it, lower level staff, so-called technicians, but for many reasons, I'm afraid it would be getting worse and worse in the following years. So the question is, why do we need more and more staff? A trend that can be observed, especially after the pandemic time, is the growing audience's interest in participating in live cultural events of a huge scale sometimes. This may be due to different factors, many different factors, including the, I would say, primal, almost atavistic need of the people to receive stimuli collectively, to emphasize and to share the experiences together, which is so important in developing us ourselves in cultural way. This tendency results in the rapid growth of the number and the difficulty, the complexity of the live events that are organized as an industry's response to this need, and as a result, growing demand for the qualified employees. What is more, due to the specific nature of this work in live production event industry, let's point just the irregular working hours, high physical exertion risks, high stress levels during the events, there is a growing need for the employees to take care of their well-being as a part of their own fight against burnout. The somehow alternative solution another solution to that may be also growing demand for more and new employees, also because of the need, let's call it, maybe it's not humble, but let's call it generational change. Because please remember that the last years are time of the rapidly changing technology, including AI solutions. That means that the employees, if they do not continuously learn new skills, which takes time and money, quickly become technologically left behind. Basically, it's not possible to work intensively and at the same time to devote the least of their free time to any kind of personal development or training. So I would say it's a kind of feedback loop in case of working and gaining new experiences. What is interesting, the mentioned problem seems to be not only the local perspective, but the perspective that seems adequate to any bigger city or region. From my personal experience at this point, I moved to Bydgoszcz like 3 years ago permanently, but before I lived and worked in Warsaw, so the capital of Poland, the largest city of Poland, for many, many years. And my observations, due to the specificity of the industry, were very similar. In Warsaw, I worked in one of the Warsaw-based theaters, and one of our main staff-related problems was the high turnover in the production team. Due to the general staff shortages in the industry, people came to work, then they learned how to do some things, and after a season or two, they decided to quit, usually due to another maybe more attractive offers they had. So we had constantly faced with some kind of recruitment process. But the main problem we faced was not the turnover itself, but the problem that either we hired unskilled or unexperienced staff who needed to be fully trained at the place, or if we have hired the previously educated people with some kind of professional training behind, they wanted more money, bigger remunerations for their work, what is fully understandable, but even this education of the professional training behind was no guarantee of the work quality due to the specific academic curriculums we are quite well aware of. That situation showed the numerous problems in recruiting new staff. So that's maybe the question, why do we have such problems with recruiting the new staff? The first point is that it's not the obvious place to work. The industry is not just the obvious place to work. No one really knows from the beginning how it functions. So young people actually know nothing or almost nothing about it, because the education in the field of music and generally arts, apart from strictly, let's call it music or art school, is generally very limited or non-existent in Poland. And as a result, we have multiple problems with education in this area. First of all, very limited number of specialist programs or courses. We do lack of systemic solutions for the education of specialized role-level staff, lighting and sound technicians. There are some solutions applied in Poland, like the vocational education at the secondary school level for sound technicians, multimedia technicians, etc. But this solution limits the influx on potential employees from the older age groups. What is more, in most cases, such solutions provide relatively good theoretical education, but basically, this kind of candidates lack of the various practical experience. So still, we may have potential employees with a good knowledge entry level, but they still need to be introduced and strictly supervised in their practical activities. Another problem is that in Poland, there is almost none possibility of professional education or training in the mentioned area on the academic level. Only selected institutions like Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznań offer specialist education in the field of light sound engineering. And as far as I'm concerned, there is no similar institution offering education in the field of lighting or multimedia design. This field, as the head of one of the potentially relevant problems, I should wear sackcloth and ashes, although I must mention that we as an Academy of Music in Bydgoszcz, we are quite well aware of the oversight and we are engaged in extensive discussions about launching some kind of academic training in this field, but it's just this discussion in progress, nothing specific happens already. But the general problem in the academic training I would point at this moment is the disconnect between academic practice and the realities of the industry. As we educate in the field of sound engineering at the academies of music in general in Poland, it's the specificity of our country, we educate, let's call it artistically. So we teach about the artistic aspects of the spatial sound projection. We work with installations, acousmoniums, etc. Instead of teaching, let's call it practically technically. So how to achieve a specific practical effect in any case we need. From the other hand, if someone is trained at the University of Applied Science, because it also happens in Poland, this kind of candidates may be very good engineers, device contractors, etc. But they usually have almost none or little feeling of aesthetics or orientation in artistic dimensions of live events in overall. So again, a loop. And as a result, I have to sum up the training offered to the live event staff nowadays in Poland is based mainly on informal practice. So traditionally, this education of the live lighting and sound is conducted through practical activities and apprenticeships. And all of the mentioned reasons mentioned above, indicate that organizing various types of courses and educational programs in this area are very much justified and extremely relevant to the needs of the industry. So the question, if you observe the MyRap program and the local courses that have been organized, and which would be elaborated in more detailed way later on, is the question, what has changed so far since the programs has been implemented? Well, I believe that we still have to wait for a long term of these projects, but we can already see in Bydgoszcz increased interest in working in the live events industry and the emergence of new, let's underline it, sensible employees. Sensible, very, very sensible sometimes, primarily at the lower level of qualifications, of course, but still very sensible, who are well versed in the specifics of the industry, which is very, very valuable situation. The next important point is that the program participants were extremely interested in the issues addressed during the course. Again, my individual perspective, I had the opportunity to conduct some hours of workshops in the MyRap program in Bydgoszcz. My part was dedicated, no surprises, to the film and sound and music synchronization. And I must admit that that's not so often that the participants of the course have so many different questions during the workshops. And these questions do not come from the situation that they haven't listened to me. In the opposite, they listened so carefully that they have a lot of in-depth follow-up questions that clearly arise from their need to understand the subjects as deeply as possible. And in my opinion, this pure interest and huge engagements of the participants is a very good predictor of their development in this area. What is more, the arrival of the new employees is already causing, let's call it, quantitative ferment in the industry. As Anna would mention later, there are some candidates coming after the course into the industry, and thanks to their presence, it's possible to, let's call it in general, verify the competences of the individuals more accurately and intensively, as we have the choice within the potential employees, and as a result to improve the quality of work performed, which of course translates into the greater comfort of those involved. And as a result, we can already observe a gradual improvements in the production quality that brings hope that the events of this kind will not only be, let's call it, curiosities or these events, but also a valuable cultural experience for the wide audience. And isn't it all what we are all about here? The next slide, please. And as I mentioned at the beginning of my speech, my observations are not only limited to the Polish industry. So what does it matter to develop this kind of programs more broadly? First of all, the situation in other regions seems to be very similar in terms of staff training system, or maybe rather lack of thereof. The problem which the national industries are facing are quite analogous, and I believe it would be mentioned in the following presentation of the pilot programs. The interesting point that maybe should be also mentioned is that there are many Polish contractors, especially technicians, but also the producers, who are working abroad, both for the foreign companies and for the Polish companies, which, attention, are hired to produce specific events all over Europe, which proves, on the one hand, that we in Poland have quite a good professional of this field if we have them, but also, on the other hand, that other regions are also experiencing staff shortages, or maybe both points at the same time. The solution that may come with the training programs proposed via MyRab program is very nice idea because they are simple and relatively comprehensive enough to serve an universal starting point for implementing or developing programs tailored to the characteristic of the specific region. And I would therefore very deeply encourage everyone here to draw on the experience of the pilot programs that would be analyzed in the following part of the presentation, because there is a lot of possibilities to adapt them to the needs of the specific industries and regions and implement a wide-ranging project to train the staff at various levels of expertise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kasia, for this very interesting and inspirational input. I think it became quite clear that, of course, this educational situation is different in European countries and also in the Baltic Sea region. I think this is now a very good transition to get to the concrete tools that we have developed and that you have already mentioned, and you have participated in one as a lecturer, namely in Poland. So I would like to give it to Anya, and Anya, the floor is yours.
Good morning. I'm very happy that I can tell you something about the practical side of everything was Kasia was mentioning in her incredible and interesting speech. As I say, I'm Anya. I'm head of UNESCO Bydgoszcz UNESCO City of Music program and the deputy CEO of City Center for Culture in Bydgoszcz. And together with my partner Marek, we created the pilot, the course Sound and Light in Music Industry. Marek, could you just shortly introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Marek. I am a musician and sound engineer. I am also the director of the Drums Fusion Festival. In short, I'm a culture manager, but I have been running a recording studio for many years. So I have prepared program our course, Sound and Light Production in Music Industry, which we, together with Anna, completed in Bydgoszcz last year. That's all about me. Thanks. Anna, please.
So, as we mentioned, Sound and Light and Music Industry, we created that course regarding that the music market is demanding for a professional staff. The pilot in Bydgoszcz and its origins are closely linked to MyRap goals of improving the qualification of technical staff in the music industry. The course was also developed as a result of market demand. Like Katarzyna said before, Poland lacks, and not only Poland, technical courses and schools educating sound engineers, lighting operators, and other stage hands. Our pilot was a fast-track course, which duration of several weeks, where participants learned the basic of theory and practices related to these professions. The course is clearly structured and the curriculum is readable, so it is easy to transfer to other European cities and countries and make a similar course in the other cities and places. I have to say something about the staff selection because it was a very interesting process. We engaged the education sector and people from the music industry in our city to prepare and run this course. There were involved local educators, music producers, and experts, and we also had many conversations with companies that provide technical support for small and large events, outdoor concerts, and indoor events. So we exactly knew what we're supposed to learn our participants. The people selected to conduct the classes has been trained in the new trends in energy management, in sound production and stage lighting, and have appropriate technical and social facilities to properly conduct the classes, what is also important. About the recruitment, when we announced in social media that we were starting preparation and we soon open the classes, an incredible number of people signed up. It was like over 60 people in 1 week only from our region. So we had to think about a good recruitment method. And we established the recruitment rules. The course was intended for adults over 18, for beginners and intermediate students who were later divided into groups according to their skills. In the first step, the future participants filled out a survey answering questions about the level of interest in the course topic, level of knowledge, general skills related to the sound and light direction. For example, someone is a photographer or movie maker and knows something about the light, let's say, etc., etc. Step 2 was personal interviews with them, and we asked about the motivation and ideas for the future place in the music industry, why they want to just go through the course. It was a very interesting process and crucial actually for selecting future course participants. And some already had ready-made ideas for entering the market. Some of the people needed a boost and just simple kick to finally take the plunge and start their own company. And others wanted to just go deeper of their passion. We opted for a course fast-tracked, as I say, covering basic theoretical and practical aspect. And the theoretical portion of the course was based on the high school sound engineer curriculum, expanded to include industry-specific vocabulary in English, copyright and related law, and legal information related to running a business. We placed a strong emphasis on all the latest technological advancement, which change practically every year. Therefore, the courses were led by active professionals who deal with technology and new technologies on a daily basis. Yeah, I just messed up with the slides, sorry. It was about this. And the next step of our course, it was the visits in the cultural places, which could be the potential places of employment. So it was the radio station, televisions, theaters, institutions, concert and event agencies. And in each of these places, participants learned about the technical infrastructure, talked to sound and lighting operators, and participated in the production of programs or rehearsals for performances. It was also an opportunity to talk to more experienced employees in the music industry about local and national job prospects. This was also important for building a network of contacts and enabling young people to make key contacts to find a job. We finished our course, created the exam. The exam took place spectacularly during an outgoing stage event, a live-streamed concert where the students independently prepared stage and studio techniques and lighting, conducted stage rehearsals, and independently executed the event. The live streaming was provided by an external company, and actually we created the opportunity to work professionally and independently for them. Of course, we stood behind them and could be counted on, but they did everything themselves from start to finish. And in my opinion, it was a bit stressful, but a real test of skills. However, we tried to create the positive conditions in the sense that the artists were from Bydgoszcz and some of the participants know the artists on the stage, so it was easier to just keep the straight in. And in the months following the course, many participants began working as stage technicians, recording studio engineers, stage lighting technicians, and artistic managers, supporting the local industry and filling some of the shortage of qualified staff in the music market. We are currently receiving all the time numerous inquiries about future editions of the course, and we still are in touch with some of our students till today. Some of them work in the friendly cultural institutions and media outlets, and some want to work with us as volunteers in our festivals and our events. So this is the evaluation and opinion of one participant for the end. Thank you so much for your attention.
Great. Thank you very much, Anya. And we had some comments that the sound might have been distorted and hard to listen to. However, we will, of course, send around the presentation afterwards, so you can take a listen to this very impressive interview. So next up, we're moving from Bydgoszcz to Latvia, and I'm happy to welcome my colleague Liva from Music Latvia.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Liva, as Fabian mentioned, and I'm from Riga, Latvia, and representing Music Latvia as one of the MyRap partners. I've been in the music industry for I don't know, like 17, 18 years. I might look young, but no. And I've been a manager to quite a big band, local band, and my choice of the pilot that we were doing here in Riga was chosen because I know how hard it is to enter the music industry. So The pilot that we did is called Music Industry 101. That's how we called it. And I'm going to briefly tell you about it, how it came about. So to understand the why behind this pilot, why it is we made it, we have to look at the specific gap in the Latvian music ecosystem, and I guess in other small market ecosystems as well. We as an organization and people in the industry, we saw a massive, like a really, really big interest from young people who wanted to join the industry, who wanted to enter the music industry, but mostly they were hitting a wall. While there are higher education institutions in Latvia who do offer music management or creative industry business courses, they are mostly outdated or heavily based on theoretical models from Western markets, like, for example, the USA. And let's just be honest, like hearing or listening on how Taylor Swift sold millions and millions of records, or how Beyonce can secure a deal with Pepsi for like 50,000 millions is fun and it's inspiring, but it's really far from the reality in smaller markets, because here the rules are just different and things work differently here. And up until now, most people in the Latvian industry, as I said, myself included, we're self-taught, and we've spent years and years digging and learning through our own mistakes and errors, because there was just no structured overview of how things work in our specific ecosystem in our specific market, and especially also no information in our language. And we realized that for our industry to truly develop and move forward, we don't really have the time to wait for all the newcomers to come and learn through their mistakes, because it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. So that's why we created this pilot to bridge the gap, by having local actual experts to pass down their practical information that they've earned the hard way. And our aim was very straightforward: to lower the entry barrier and provide tools that offer like very foundational knowledge of how to work in these small markets and how things work in Riga, Latvia. So what we wanted to ensure that the program was built on real, actual needs rather than our own assumptions. So we conducted a structured needs analysis, which we started with an online stakeholder survey. We had approximately 100 participants. We invited industry stakeholders and music industry students, and just people that we knew that were just lurking around and dreaming to enter the music industry world. And this survey allowed us to pinpoint exactly where the knowledge gaps were the widest. And after that, we held several discussions with the stakeholders and also with these newcomers and newcomer wannabes and the music organizations. And we just discussed the results of the survey, and we wanted to understand the actual daily challenges that they were facing in the field today, or what they were like, why they were hitting the wall. And based on these insights, we moved to topic prioritization. So we picked the themes and topics based on the survey results, and we matched them with the local experts who actually knew what they were talking about. And we really focused on clarity and practical relevance over academic theory, because we wanted the people to learn from real life actors who are dealing with this stuff on daily basis. So what we did, we made several video lessons, like short video lessons from 5 to 7 minutes long. Some were shorter, some were longer. And we chose this format because it was very accessible and digestible for modern learners. And each topic was introduced by a local practitioner, ensuring the knowledge comes from, as I said, actual people who work in the field rather than a textbook or like a textbook from elsewhere in the world, but from real people who were working in the industry here in this market. And the curriculum is quite comprehensive, covering the essential building blocks of music careers and the industry itself. We address the role of the manager and financial cooperation models, differences between major and indie labels, specifics of distribution and music export. We also cover things like music synchronization for film and games and social media strategies, touring and show production, and legal aspects of copyright and neighboring rights. Our principles throughout the design phase was simplicity, clarity, and practical relevance. When we wanted, as I said, move away from this maybe unknown terminology or academical feel, and we wanted these videos to be in a language that is approachable for anyone, like even people not in the industry, that they could listen to the sessions and they might get interested in the sphere. And yeah, we asked our experts to speak directly to beginners, so it would feel more like a mentoring session rather than like a lecture in a academy. So yeah, the impact of our pilot was immediate and very visible. Most importantly, we tested these video lectures on students that are currently enrolled in music management or creative industry business programs in schools, and their feedback was amazing, and like a lot of people expressed that this is exactly the kind of practical and localized information they wish they would have had access much sooner in their education, or maybe when they first started or were actually deciding on what they're going to be studying. And the pilot also had increased the visibility of our local experts and organizations, like music organizations. And with this, we're continuing the dialogue around the practical music education. And it did, I think it did prove that there is a high demand for learning formats that are driven by the industry itself and the people who are in the industry. And by combining these videos with the in-person networking sessions, we've actually kind of connected the people, like the veterans in the community and the newcomers, so they can like mingle. And I know there's already some unofficial mentorship been going on since then. And looking ahead, we plan to expand the topics. We have already secured support from several music organizations locally to help us with the work. And we also have, we see opportunity to adapt this for other creative sectors as well, like film or gaming or production, event production. And our recommendation for the future is to move sort of like a hybrid approach, using this platform as a foundation, and to keep organizing live Q&A sessions and networking sessions and formal mentorships to actually ensure long-term professional growth in our local industry sector. So yeah, we started from the very big, like the very foundation. That's it from my side. Thank you all.
Great. Thank you very much, Liva. Very impressive. And I'm sure this concept is transferable to a lot of other different music ecosystems. Of course, maybe already the contents that you have delivered and created right now, but also the structure, how you set up such a program, a one-on-one. Now, moving from Latvia to Hamburg, Germany, with way different preconditions, as I might say. Marie, please take over.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm Marie. I'm Fabian's colleague from Hamburg Music, and I want to present our program, the lateral entry program. We did different pilots in the other topics, sustainability and innovation and networking as well, but this is the one project we did within the whole skills and capacity framework. As Fabian said, we had a different approach. Why we did the lateral entry program, we were seeing a growing shortage of skilled professionals within the German, but also the Hamburg music industry. But on the other hand, we saw a lot of untapped potential from people who wanted to follow a career within the music industry, but didn't have the information about the business and didn't have the network to enter the music industry. But of course, they had the skills. So we wanted to have a program for people who wanted to change into the music industry from different sectors like hospitality, IT, or administration. And the goal was to connect transferable skills with music industry specific knowledge. So the focus was really on identifying real skill gaps. We did this with conversations with our local music companies, with members from Hamburg Music, with people who are working in the industry. We really wanted to find out what people need to be working in those specific fields, be it in a music label, being as a booker, as a music manager, or in a publishing company. So we first defined key competencies, and then we created the lateral entry program. We had 2 editions of the program. We had more people registered than could participate, so we could really do good selection based on professional background and motivation. It was a program for career changes, for people who wanted to work in the field, but who didn't have the knowledge on how to enter. We had diverse groups. We had different ages, education, sector experience, and a clear alignment between what the participant profiles were and what the industry really needed. On the picture here, you see a few participants from the first workshop. They are working on a little quiz. They had to put together skills that are needed for specific job profiles. So when they started the workshop, they didn't have an understanding about what does a booker do, what jobs there are in a club, in a location, for example. Like, people understand that the music industry is kind of fun and nice and wanted to work there, but they didn't have the understanding about, okay, what is really needed for me to be working as a technician, as a booker, as an IT person working for a festival, because those are jobs that are there as well. Like, you can also work in communication, in social media, in IT. So that was the first workshop we did. How we did this? We co-designed the curriculum with a professional workshop facilitator, which really helped us to have a more interactive learning experience. We wanted to shift from, lecture-based training to more like interactive formats, hands-on learning, small group work. In this picture here, you see a group from also our first workshop participating a company visit. So we visited different companies and put the small groups of participants there, so they really could talk to people, really could interact with people working in the music industry. Here we are at a local tour organizer in Hamburg, and it was fun to see that the participants really had really specific questions. Like, one person, for example, asked if it's necessary to have a driving license when working in the music industry. So it showed us that people are eager and motivated, but they kind of need to get the network and need to understand what the jobs really are. So the participants were people who already had job experience, who were at least working 4 years in their specific fields, but didn't have the network. And we also integrated 360-degree virtual reality career videos showcasing different job profiles, so people would understand what it really is, for example, to work as an audio designer. And this helped us really gain access to real companies and real people. And the output was really nice, with a strong participant feedback, increased knowledge and industry understanding. We had 2 final networking events with the participants, but also people from the industry, our networks, our members. At least 1 job placement was initiated directly there. We have now someone working at Reeperbahn Festival, and it really strengthened the connection between the job seekers and the companies, and also gave the companies a better understanding that when they are searching for professionals, they can also search within career changes and not only look for people who maybe studied music business or something like that. A key learning for us was, on the one hand, the expectation management, because it's one thing to build a program like that, but you can't guarantee the 20 participants that 20 of them will in the end have a specific job. Like, this is something a bit out of our reach. And the other thing was the personal outreach is really crucial. Like, we really had to talk to the companies, to the music industry people, to really understand what they are looking for also when they want to hire new persons, new people. Yeah, and I think the long-term value is really good. We were closing the gap between transferable talent and industry needs. So we did this 2 editions, and I'm really eager to do it again in the future, because it was really fun to develop, and it was really nice to see how in the end the networking came together and people really had a better understanding. Yeah, that's so far from this side.
Great, thank you very much, Marie. And maybe at this point, short note that we do have a website ready, myrep.eu, where you can find step-by-step guides how to implement these programs, but also, of course, the supporting materials, the additional materials, and said VR videos, because we put them on YouTube, so you can check them out. And if you have VR goggles available, you can check them out, and they're actually quite cool. So thank you very much, Marie. And now to our final presentation about a tool. And I would like to move over to Lithuania, to Mantautas.
Yes, hello. Trying to take a control here so I can move on to the presentation. So good morning, everybody. I represent Lithuanian Academy of Music and Theatre, and it felt quite natural that the academy, who is involved in training musicians, would be involved in this work of MyRep project, where we talk about training. Me personally, as well as my unit here, Music Technology Lab, which we call Music Innovation Studies Center, we try to support artistic and research activities for students, teachers, and alumni. However, I've noticed lately that even the students who study in the curriculum studies, they benefit quite a lot of alternative training formats, not only, the lecture to lecture each week format, which is considered quite typical and common. And our institution also has like this experience of organizing exactly this, workshops or intensive training programs. It's aimed at our students or alumni, or sometimes industry professionals as well. where we try to focus on certain topics for a certain amount of time. So it's like a hyper focus where you delve deep into certain subject, and of course involve people, make them work in groups, and create this thing very much interactively. In the context of this project, we have been working on something we call cross-sectional training program. And the main idea or purpose behind this is to address skill gaps, which keep on constantly coming up in the industry. I'm talking about or graduates. I'm talking also about people who maybe never graduated from higher education institution. Maybe they just went straight into the field. Especially in some contexts of music production, it's completely possible to work even without any kind of formal education. There is a lot of information now available online, maybe sometimes too much. However, our world is changing and technology is developing, and as we know, the current industry is very much connected with the technology. And we were trying with this training program to connect these kind of several ideas together to see how can we develop new models of training and new models of education. I honestly, personally believe the future even of higher education institutions would be not degree programs how it is now, but exactly this ongoing training, trying to help the people in the ecosystem to fill certain gaps in their knowledge, practice, and skills. And this is what we have been experimenting a little bit here. Another thing is that nowadays, to have a successful career, usually an artist, producer, tonmeister, whatnot, they have to have very diverse skill sets, or skill sets not only from their own, let's say, direct specialization or sector, but something neighboring. For example, entrepreneurial skills are extremely important, as well as understanding about certain technologies, not just superficial understanding, however, maybe sometimes even deeper understanding, where they can grasp and understand the principle, for example, behind how the generative AI works, so that they could decide, where it's good to use it, where it's not good to use it, where things are more or less effective, and so on. So our cross-sectoral training, in the end, concretely, focused very much on these areas as content pieces. So as I mentioned, generative AI, immersive audio, which is still a thing with Atmos Music, for example, and so on. We've been doing workshops on spatial audio since 2015, as well as cross-sectoral collaboration. So like media, immersive media, theater, film, management, entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurial skills, as I mentioned, are extremely important nowadays. Last year, we tried to create an event which very much helped us to develop and implement this pilot. It was like an international meetup forum workshop, which was called InMuse. So it was Forum on Innovation in Music, Stage Art, and Stage Arts Entertainment. And also we had a workshop nearby, a live space, where the groups of young people were working together to create something like a performance together, using these contemporary tools and approaches like spatial audio and generative AI. Also, we brought together professionals from different sectors, including music, technology, engineering, as well as business, economy, and entrepreneurship, to share all these ideas. And it helped us to work on our pilot. I was just like, thought I will show some introduction video of the conference, which was also, by the way, created not purely, but with the help of generative AI. I really believe that nowadays, somebody I think has to mute their mic. Yes, thank you. That nowadays people in the sector, professionals, are super busy, and to update themselves, we have to adopt certain approaches which are often used by business schools, for example, in their MBA programs, as we discovered in this event, to have something very focused and actionable in the training, because people don't have a lot of time and have different formats. So if you do things on site, it's very important that things are interactive and very much practice-based, not just talks and conferences. However, other formats are possible, and one of those formats is something like which we can learn from distance learning, something like a training, online videos, and so on. To do any kind of training, we figured, and it's also part of our pilot's, let's say, toolbox set, that first of all, you have to make sure that you map what the target group you are working with needs from training. So, for example, what exactly is your target group, right? Performance producers, enablers, and so on. Then what skill gaps they currently may have. What is the, let's say, priority level? Is something like burning, which has to be solved right now, you know? Like some issues, for example, connected to AI and let's say ethics, as well as lawmaking, right? And then what stakeholders it might involve. Also, what evidence do we have that we need it, right? Existing training, so kind of a benchmarking, and then recommended training topics by experts. So you have to approach experts, suggested training formats, and as well as what kind of implementation approaches we could kind of apply, what constraints, opportunities, timelines, and partners we have, right? And it very much connects to this principle of understanding the needs. So we have to map stakeholders, we have identify what skill gaps are there, and what target groups we have. And we conducted this structured mapping of stakeholders around the ecosystem connected to our institution, as well as Vilnius city music industry and ecosystem. And we had these forums, workshops, discussions, which helped us to identify the currently, you say, like hot burning topics. And the main thing, of course, is to think how we can implement this pilot, not only as ongoing set of workshops, which we are doing once or twice per year, but also what kind of takeovers we can get from these workshops. But this can be said about any kind of educational or training program, that you always have to think and create a structure, define what are the objectives of this program, and how you implement it. Like, because workshop is something dynamic where people work practically and they exchange ideas, we thought that we also might need something more static, where we have, in a very precise and concise way, let's say, fixated some like essential things, takeouts connected to the topics we're working in. So, for example, AI or spatial audio and so on. So something like very much interactive, dynamic, clear educational video tutorials is actually a nice format to grasp this content and document it much better than long reports, as Fabian said at the beginning. And of course, you have to develop the content, whatever the training content would be. In our case, it was video tutorials based on the materials we recorded during the workshop and produced specifically for the video tutorials. Then, of course, always in education, you have to make sure the things work and make sure that you know how it works and why it works, all right? So based on this, you approach the learners and ask them what they think about your training formats, materials, so you can improve year by year. If you're doing events or if it's kind of educational material, maybe you prepare kind of a beta version and then give it to somebody, and then they might evaluate it and give you some suggestions how to improve it. Training feedback is extremely important thing. In our toolbox, there are several instruments how you can collect the feedback. It doesn't have to be very, very complicated, but it's very important that you gather the information. Either try to approach as many participants as possible using this kind of quantitative approaches, or approaching very typical participant representing a certain, let's say, sector, and trying to get the same information from them via interviews. And of course, you aim or reach for impact. I think it's always nice to think ecologically, how you can make sure that all material you get from any kind of workshop and situation can be reused and used, as in our case, like all these videos are added in the Moodle course, which is open on our website, but also it is part of kind of a demo of this tool in the MyRap context. And because I'm the last one and hopefully not making you sleep, I will finish now, but you are very welcome to approach me if you have any further questions about our work in connection with training. And we all have to keep on thinking about new formats. For example, in this picture, we see a usual situation where people are sitting and listening to the concert, but some people decided to lay down. So, thinking about new formats is always a good idea. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mantautas. Now, what are the next steps for you and for MyRap in general? So, MyRap is set up as a step-by-step journey. So you can decide how far you want to go, and there's no obligation at all. And all of us are, of course, free of charge. You are currently in stage 1. This stage is called Discover, and it is open for everyone and includes 3 online webinars like this one, with a very simple goal: to get inspired, to understand the tools, and to see which ideas might be useful for your city or region. From there, a smaller group can move to stage 2. This is what we call Explore and Fit. And this stage is about asking a practical question. Would this tool actually work in my local context? So you have heard 4 tools. And if you're interested in one, you can tell us and we can check with you if this could work in your local context. So you will take part in an online deep dive session, meet peers from other regions, and explore how this could adapt it to your city or region. And then finally, a very small group moves on to stage 3, which is called Commit and Develop. And here participants work step by step on real local cases. So you would receive one-to-one coaching, detailed feedback, and support to turn an idea into a ready-to-use concept, and you would also get the chance to present it at the Reeperbahn Festival conference. So what is important to know, you do not have to decide anything today, and you can simply start by filling in the survey and tell us what feels relevant for you. And this webinar series is just the entry point, and everything else builds on your interest, your time, and your local needs. And before I move forward, I have a question to Marie regarding the QR code. Is this the QR code leading to the skills and capacity link?
Yes.
Good, magnificent. Because you can see a QR code now on the screen, and this one links to a very, very short survey. Those who participated in the other webinars know already about this. And in the survey, you can tell us which tools or topics caught your interest and whether you could imagine exploring them more deeply in stage 2. As I said, there is no commitment involved. It's just a simple way to tell us what resonates with you. And if you have a moment now, feel free to scan the code and fill it in straight away. And if not, that's also absolutely fine. As mentioned before, we will send the survey link by email together with the recording and the presentation, so you can complete it at a later stage. So I will just give you a short moment to scan it if you want to, another half a minute before we can move to the Q&A. Great. So, thank you very much. And before we conclude the session, I would like to ask if there are any open questions you would like to ask now, the experts, the project partners here. You can also do it, of course, at a later stage if something comes up while reflecting on this webinar.
Hi, I have a question. Is there a list of emails of you all that I could see somewhere?
Well, we have it on the website, but I can send it to you as well afterwards after this webinar. No problem.
Thank you.
Great. Any more questions? If not, then we will end this webinar on time. As I said, we will share everything afterwards. Thank you very much for your participation and your interest in this webinar on skills and capacity. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and yeah, to see you soon in stage 2 or somewhere else. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.